Some people call it the province of Yehud. It's actually the province of Judah. And they're under Persian rulership. And so it's important to intersect the story of Ezra and Nehemiah with the Persian dynasty of the Achaemenids, we call them. And it's a powerful empire. And the book of Ezra and Nehemiah deal with, as it were, a tale of three kings. And then the first king that we must mention is Cyrus the Great, because here is a neat intersection between the scripture. Chapter 1 of Ezra actually quotes and discusses an edict, a decree that Cyrus makes. And this decree that Cyrus makes is actually allowing for the restoration of worship, localized expression of worship by the people in all the provinces so that they can worship their own God. And, it's good for Cyrus because it creates revenue, temple tax revenue, and so forth. And it also allows the local populations to worship their God. And so maybe that's going to create more of a sense of loyalty to the Persian ruler, because it allows for freedom of expression of worship. And so this plays right into a fulfillment of prophecy that Isaiah, the 8th century BC prophet, announced this restoration of worship, past the destruction, past the wrath of God for the people's unfaithfulness, idolatry, and so forth, past 586, the destruction of the temple, that there would be a return from exile. And Isaiah speaks to this many times throughout the whole prophecy, but in chapter 44, he drops this name, this Persian loanword, Koresh, Cyrus, and he says, Isaiah prophesies, seeing the future, that this king will restore, will be the catalyst for the restoration of worship in Zion, in Jerusalem. And chapter 44, and then also in chapter 45, Cyrus's name is mentioned by name. And lo and behold, there's also in archaeology what we call a cylinder, and it's an inscription that looks like a cylinder. It's at the British Museum in London, and it speaks specifically to the decree of Cyrus allowing in all the provinces a return to worship, a restoration of local expressions of worship. And so that's a neat connection. And so Cyrus is being stirred up by God, the secular ruler, to allow for the wheels of redemption to turn, because Ezra and Nehemiah is the restored worship of the Lord in Zion, and it's also preparing for the return of the King, Jesus, in his first coming. And so Cyrus is being used that way. The second Persian king is Darius, also Darius the Great. He is the great builder of these powerful ceremonial cities in Persia, Persepolis and Susa. And these are monuments to the greatness of the Persian empires. But he's also the one who funds the rebuilding of the temple. We know this from Ezra 6. So he's an absolutely key player in terms of the secular backdrop to Ezra and Nehemiah for the return to the worship of the Lord in Zion. And then the third Persian king is Artaxerxes. And he is very instrumental in that, negatively, he interrupts the restoration of the wall. The locals under the initiative of Ezra, we know this from Ezra chapter 4, they're rebuilding the sanctity of Zion, the wall, the enclosure, and he puts a stop to that, Artaxerxes. He's believing the lies that the Jews in the land are trying to rebel against the king, so he puts a stop to that. And then fast forward to Nehemiah 1. Now, Nehemiah is a cupbearer at the courts. He's a close servant of Artaxerxes himself, and it's in this context that Artaxerxes, by a change of heart, in no small measure due to Nehemiah's intercessory prayer, he has a change of heart, and now he commissions Nehemiah himself, his cupbearer, to become the governor in the province of Judah and to